Hello, everyone, and welcome to another version of the Whiskey Tales. When you buy whiskey from the open market, uh, it's important to understand what kind of cask it's come from because that's what defines the flavor profile of the whiskey. The larger whiskey brands, the global ones, they don't necessarily always talk about the cask simply because age is a big factor as well, and they don't, when they mix so many different kind of cars together, they don't want to sort of pick and choose on one, so most of it is basically oak barrels. So the importance of the cars got dialed up when the independent bottlers came in. The reason being, they didn't have a lot of money to buy 20, 30, 40, 100 cars of the same type of whiskey of the same vintage, so they could put it together and give you a few thousand bottles. But at the same time, they also had to find a niche for themselves. So what they did was they started bottling a cask at a time. It was also for cost and logistic purposes. The distribution supply chains weren't as large to sort of get rid of large volume of bottles, unlike the big global brands. While there are lots of independent bottlers who usually only bottle single casks, one cask at a time. There is a very interesting company out there. It's called the Single Cask, which bottles a cask at a time, but they do it on an ongoing basis. So what you really get from them is a very large range, a very interesting profile, and some ongoing releases for a very, very long period of time. So you can actually get used to having a single cask whiskey, which is either cask strength or watered down version, doesn't matter. Uh, Now here is a range of single cask whiskies. There are a total of 8 bottles. I'll explain the difference. But if you look at it closely here, see the difference of color in the whiskeys. Now each of them has a different color. The reason for that is because they've all been matured in a different cask type, where some wood, if just oak, it doesn't give a lot of very deep color, but if it's sherry cask or if it's some other wine cask or some other cask, that actually gives it a lot of very, very interesting, not just flavor profile, but a very nice deep rich amber copper color. What single cask does is something very, very interesting. What they do is they take one big cask and they split it into 3 or 4 different casks for finishing. Now, these 4 bottles came from the same cask, so same mother cask, and they were split into 4 different cask types to give them very different, very interesting flavor profiles. This one is a Fino octave, this one is PS octave, this one is Amatildo, and this one is also a different Fino octave cask. Now, octave is a much smaller cask, unlike a big oak hogshead, which is about 250, 260 liters, and they go all the way to 500 liters depending on the type. Octave is 50 liters, so it's relatively small. It holds much less liquid, but it actually processes the aging a bit faster and quicker because the wood is interacting a lot more with the liquid inside. So they're not usually used for long-term maturation. They're only used for finishing and short-term this thing. But it also gives a very, very strong characteristics and flavor profile because the wood and liquid interaction is happening a lot more than in a bigger cask, where there's less liquid interacting with wood compared to the volume ratio inside the cask, whereas in a smaller one there's more liquid that's interacting with the wood. So here are 4 different bottles originated from the same cask, but separated after a while, finished in 4 different casks. Now, very interestingly, you may not notice, but if you do go to a single cask bar here in Singapore, it's in 73A Amoy Street. Now here it says cask number 314563B. And what they do is they actually have a series, so A, B, C, D. So it's the same cask, but if they split it into 4 different types of cask, then they, because the mother cask is the same, that's the cask number, and then A means cask A, B means a different cask, and so it's very, very interesting. And if you go there and you try all the different casks, you can actually get some very interesting comparisons of what the wood does to the whiskey. So I would recommend start having single cask whiskies and whiskies from a single cask as well. try having the same whiskey finished in two different casks so you can really enjoy the impact of cask on the flavor profile. Happy tasting, happy drinking, happy investing, happy reading, and happy whiskey tales.